Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the Reading Stitcher, and I'm Amy. It's been quite a while since I last had a video, I think maybe nearly 2 months, and a lot has happened. Not so much stitching in that time, but I do have a small update for you guys. I have small progress on about maybe a third of my projects. I have page finish on one, so there is some stuff to show you guys today. And I might do a bit of a life update at the end, just kind of explaining, you know, why I was gone. I remember last video I explained that I was suffering from vertigo, and that got substantially worse for about another month, and aside from that, I had some mental health issues, so I just decided to take a break, mostly from, I think I burnt myself out on my stitching, but I'll talk more about that later if they're not interested in that, I just want to see the stitching. I think I have starting photos for most of my projects. I don't really have any numbers for you this time, but I think there's enough visible progress that the numbers will not really matter. So I guess I'll get started. Last time I posted, I had mentioned that I was going to do a Mania 500 with new starts. So I had planned 4 new starts for May, of which I got to 1. And even that one I barely touched in May, and only maybe this past week really got some stitches into. So last time I had asked you guys to help me pick, you know, which one that I was gonna work on. I ended up deciding to go with one of the owl kits that I had. So this is Owl 4. Let's see if I can. And this is a kit by Joy Sunday. Before my mom knew that it was probably not their own pattern. And I have color completed some of the colors already. All in all, it has been a good kit. I decided to use my own fabric. So I have a Abby Stitch Me fabric. It was just a color of the month. I'm not sure what the name of it is now, but it's a 16 count, and I'm going to be putting the rest of my kits on this one as well. So here is my start. And as you can see, I've gotten quite a bit of progress on this, probably in the last like week, 2 weeks. So the hat is entirely done. So all those colors are now done. And I'm color completing with this brown color here. So I'm just picking colors from the top and going down. But I'm actually quite enjoying working on this. It's nice block stitching. It's been nice just to sit and do something simple. And when I went camping, because I was camping yesterday and the day before, and that failed for me, but nonetheless I got most of these stitches in. I don't know if you guys heard that, my dog just sneezed. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep this one as one of my focus pieces because it's going by really fast, and as you can see, he's not that big at all. So, and then I will have two more of these kits, and they're all owls. They just all look slightly different, and they're gonna go on this green fabric as well. And I'm doing, so the called for the fabric that came with that one was actually a 14 count, just white, bad quality Ada. I'm gonna keep it for something else, like something small. But I figure that way, if I need an extra small piece of fabric, then I have it. But I'm just gonna put all of those kits on that one fabric. So next is just my regular whips. So my focus piece has been Love Owls by James Browne and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is on a 16 count Aida with 2/1 full cross. All my projects are full cross, and this is where I got to. So before we were actually up here, I was finishing off this corner. So this is a page finish, and instead of going across like I normally do, I decided I wanted to keep going down because there's this page and then a partial, which is only like one row, and I'd like to reach the bottom of this so that I can cut my fabric, because obviously I have tons of it that I don't need and I can maybe use for something else. So you can just see how nice, because I really love this area here. Like when I pull this back, I mean the detail in these are crazy still, but it's been really nice just working in these like leafy greens and browns. And that's the project I probably worked on the most, because I'm still trying to keep up with the runner stitcher. He's doing a challenge that goes along with his running, and that's been really motivating to help me keep doing something. Otherwise I probably wouldn't have gotten any progress on that at all, really. So next is Celestine. This is artwork by Margaret Morales, again charted by HAED, and this is the pattern here, the clear there. Margaret Morales has quickly become one of my favorite artists, and I kind of want everything that she has, so I've basically wish listed all of her stuff. So I have this one, I have Yumiko? No. The one with all the sakura blooms, and I have one other one of hers too. And I got, so I think I did like a row or two of this. So I was working on this bottom page down here, and I really love the way that the feathers are coming out. Like they're well defined, and I love that I'm hitting these darker blues. So I just worked, I think I did a full diagonal block and then started going down again. So this, I don't know, I've been having a hard time just staying with one thing for very long at all, so this didn't get very much, probably barely 500 stitches. But I think by maybe the end of July I'm gonna try and get a page finish on this one, just, you know, to kind of give myself some goals to kind of, you know, keep me motivated, because I really need that at the moment. And I think in the next page I might go diagonally here so that I can get into her hair and her face. I'm just gonna stack all my stuff up here. So the next project that I worked on, these are in no particular order, is, I was hoping I would have my picture here, but I don't. I'll have to put the picture up for you guys, but this is Mini Wind and Snow Dragon by Renee Biertempfel. I'm not saying that right. This is a retired chart from HAED, and I chose the mini, and I did maybe like a row. So this is the full thing here, and then I was working in this section here. So I think I finished this diagonal and then started to work my way back down. It's just all background at this point, and then I think there's a partial page here that I'll probably do too. Okay, so another one I worked on is the Boreal Colors by editor Jose Rosa, and this is it's charted by StitchesSewBeautiful, and normally this is my I do their monthly challenges, but because I wasn't stitching all that much and I wasn't didn't really want the patterns that they had up the last 2 months, I decided to just forego that, so it's got a lot less than it did previously. But I think maybe I finished this page over here and then started on the new one. I think maybe, but I don't. The coverage is actually a lot better in person than what you're seeing here. But yeah, either way, I'm still really happy with this because I never thought that something I started this year would get like 2 pages done, even if they are smaller pages. It doesn't really matter. Page is a page. Another one I worked on was the Cross Stitch Studio Mystery Style for 2025. This is Celestial Fantasy, something like that. And there's like 12 or 13 pages out now. I am still on part 1. And I didn't have all the colors, so I was just completing by color. And then I figured I would do that until I got to the... So there's not a whole lot there, really. I honestly can't even tell you where I worked on this, to be honest. I know I completed, like, within this part, a few more colors. And I was writing down as I go, like, what colors do I still need to get. But I won't be able to get them for quite a while, I think. So that's why this hasn't been as big of a focus. But I am keeping track of people on Facebook as they like keep up with the parts, and it looks so pretty. So another one that I worked on was Which Way by Molly Harrison, and this is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the pattern here, and I just continued along with this page. Let's see if I can do this good. So I have my threads just all dangling on this one. So, yeah. So I'm I'm really starting to get into her hat. And I'm really enjoying, because all this stuff is mostly like blockish, not blockish, but like lots of like, there's very few color changes. And then when I get into that hat, there's all these bright, vibrant colors, and it can be a fair bit of confetti, especially when I was over here. But the colors are so bright that I really love it. And next I have one of my smaller patterns, which is the Fox so this is the Fox. This is a Year in the Woods #1 from the first collection by Cottage Garden Samplings. Let's see. So I had, last time you saw it, it had geez, what did it? I had started on the house, and now the house is done, as well as the snowflakes around it, and I'm really getting a good start on Mr. Fox. So this is all filled in here, and I really like the way that like the checker of his like chest is. So I think that got maybe 500 stitches. And this is when it is an easy one to stitch, which I really like. So whenever I just want something like easy, this is one of the ones that I pull out. And I'm putting as many as I can on this fabric, so. Next is another Heaven and Earth Designs. This is Earth Unicorn by Kelee Riley. And this was a new start this year. There we go. And last time you saw it, I was just starting off on a new row. Let me see if I can get this to look great. And so I made it maybe halfway through, barely halfway through the new row. So and I started out over here. So this is really coming in quite nicely. I think I hit 20-25% on this. All those bright greens I really like. Next is my mini Serenity by Fain. And this is a Heaven and Earth design. This is what it looks like, and this is a mini. And so I'm still working on the moon on this. Oh, my threads are just everywhere. Yeah, so I'm still working on the moon. And I completed, I think 2 diagonals, or barely 2. And yeah, I think that was good. Yeah, and I really like the way that the wings come through. They're just like a subtle, you can tell that they're there, but they're not like overpowering, which is something that I like on this. My next one is Quaker Do Japan. Yeah. So this is Quaker Do Japan by Jardin Prive. And this is what it looks like. And I think this one may have gotten the most progress. Because I believe my top corner is done. Yes. So the whole top corner, and I made most of the top page is now done. There's still a little bit on this side. So here's we are. So this lantern and all these flags filled that in for the top, and there's only a little bit here for the to finish the top page, and then I'll work down. But I really am enjoying even though it's only 2 colors, it really pops, and it just looks really nice on the white. It would be nice to get a finish on this year, but we're gonna see how that goes. I think it would be fairly easy if I put my mind to it, but putting my mind to it is apparently the problem. So I think I worked on this a little, but it's the Dark Water Siren Sal by Filipina. The sal's over now. All the parts are out. You can see what it looks like. And I'm on part 2, so I'm super far behind. Here we go. I think I just put a little bit more, maybe like 100 or stitches or so into here, so it goes in here. I was just starting her shoulder or arm, I think. And once I finish a larger section, because I like to bead and backstitch as I go, so once I finish like a larger section here, I'll bead her head. So maybe like once I get done with all the cross stitch in here finished. And I did backstitch a little bit in her. Another project that got a lot of work, mostly half stitches, but progress, is the baby Daenerys by Nadezhda. See if I can pronounce her name. Sorry, just one second. I'm looking up how to say it. Nadezhda Davlichina. I think that's how you say it. This was a pattern off of Etsy. And so what I've done is, I don't think I worked on her at all, but I filled in this entire kind of page, this top page of the half cross. So there's only a little bit more of the half stitches to go down here. So I might focus on that before I finish her. And then I brought the back stitch down from like maybe here. So, because I try not to leave my back stitch to the end, especially when there's a lot of it, like there is on this one. But I'm really glad that I decided to do the back stitch for these like flowers and stuff, because originally I wasn't going to, but I thought, hey, I'll just try it, and it looks so much better with it. So I'm really glad that I did. And I think there's one more dragon kind of like at her feet. So I think I'll do him last. So then once I finish this 210 half stitch, I'm gonna finish her. But we'll see when I get this out next. And that is all of my progress. So I tried to keep this short. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure when I'll have another video up. Maybe in a month or so. It just depends again on how much stitching that I actually do. In terms of some of my other hobbies, I have been reading a lot. And I left my book outside, so I can't show you, but so I finished about 4 audiobooks, all within the same series, and they're just like cozy mysteries, the library mysteries like series. Of course I can remember all this stuff like when I don't need it, but then the moment I'm trying to like wrap my head around it, it just like zooms out of my head. But they were good. They were nice to like just have on. I usually have them on in the car, and when the power is out, I usually put them on. So I finished 4 of those. They're all in the same series. I think I'm up to book 12 in that series, the library mystery series, but I think there's like maybe 17 now. And I really like the narrator for that. Oh, I know who it is. It's Alison Ryan, I think. Maybe. Or maybe that's the narrator. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to be editing this video or just putting it out. So if I decide to edit, then I'll put a picture of the series, and then you'll be able to know. Another book I was reading is, I read more of Aragon from Christopher Paolini. And I have that as a physical hard copy, and it's probably one of my favorite like starter series. It's I would consider it more of a high fantasy, like young adult high fantasy type, and it was out in like 2008, but I decided to reread it when I got the hardcover, and because there's a book the first, like, there's 4 books in the main series. And then I guess a couple of years ago, the author came out with like a standalone, and then now we know that he's taking that standalone and connecting through that book to another series within the kind of world. So I want to reread all the books for that. So that's the Inheritance series by Chris, and I'm reading Aragon. So I'm taking it slowly because Um, we are still not unpacked from renovations. So a lot of my like books, like I have like hundreds of books and they're all stuck in a room that I can't get to. So I'm just taking it slow on that one. I read a few of Susan Mallory series, the Lucky Harbor series, and I really like those. They're like a comedy romance set in modern, you know, small town type thing, and they're quite good. So I read 4 or 5 of those, and then I also restarted one of my favorite books. Again, another favorite series of mine. It's called the Pelennor series by Alison Croghan, and the first book is called The Naming, and it is a very good, again, young adult high fantasy genre. And I find that no one I know of, like everyone, most of the people I know, like, they know what the Aragon series is, but none of them hear about this one, so I think it's fairly like obscure. But it's got like really like beautiful writing, like the sceneries and the descriptions of everything, and then the story itself is just amazing. I mean, you have your typical like chosen girl type series, but there's no love interest. There's no love at all in this first book, at least. And she's already like a young woman, so it's not like she, like in terms of the world, I think she's like 16 or 17, but in the terms of the world, she's like a young woman. But she was a slave in like this really like secluded like area, and basically you know, the guy who becomes her mentor, he escapes from someone and ends up in this area, and he realizes that she is a bard. And bards in this series are like, yes, they do go around, they, you know, they have the singing and the stories and like all the arts that come along with what you would typically think of a bard. But then bards in this series, and this is like the whole crux of it, is they are basically, in a way, you would think what you would think of like a magician in a typical sense. So the magic in this comes from being a bard. It is something that you're basically chosen for. Like, yes, there's families of it and stuff like that, but basically you have to be given the gift to be a bard. And then all those bards form like little mini societies and are basically public servants, or they're supposed to be. And so, you know, they take care of, you know, managing all the like necessities for people, making sure kids can read and they're all, you know, fed and clothed, just like being a public servant and that type of thing, making sure the harvests go well, etc. But of course there is a nameless evil, and that's where the story kind of like starts. And Mayred, and I'm not pronouncing her name right, it's like, because it's there's a whole section in the back of the book that like tells you how to pronounce the names, but it's in my head now. So this one's like really good, and I love the way that they approach like a typical like magic series, and they like she like went in a super special way, because when you think of a bard, you typically, unless you're like in a magic setting, like a typical bard is just like someone who, you know, sings and, you know, creates art of some kind, or and like passes on stories of lore and stuff like that. But in this one it's so much more, and it's just really cool. Anyway, I could ramble on. So those are the books that I have read or am reading. And then one thing I did a lot instead of stitching was gaming. When I play my games, because I have like a Switch, a PS5, like I have all the things, and I'm not, and I play RPGs, JRPGs, so I don't like shooters or anything like that. I like something with like a story and like a complicated magic system within the story and stuff like that. So I was playing a couple of my games. Some of them I've beaten, and I'm just like new game plusing, which is like when you carry over stuff to like into a new game. Like you finish it once and then you basically start it over, but with the same save file. So I'm doing that on a couple to try and get 100%. And then I'm playing a game called Xeno Chronicles, which is really good. And I am kind of like in that last area before like the point of no return. So I'm trying to make sure that I have 100% on everything that I can at that point. And I think I'm just down to some final like mini bosses and stuff like that, and then I will have end game, and then there's stuff of course after the game. And so I was focusing a lot on that. I think I maybe played a couple days worth of that, like in terms of actual hours. So and I'm near 200 hours into the game, like in general. But there's so much stuff in this game that if you want to get everything, you have to look. Like it's not. So that is what I like to enjoy. So I did that instead of stitching. Just some not mindless stuff, but stuff that was, I think I burnt myself out on my stitching. And that leads me into kind of like my life stuff. So I think that's like why I was like burnt out on my stitching, because if I think about like my numbers, so last year is when I started counting my stitches and like really like hardcore counting them, and so by the end of the year I had maybe barely over 40,000 stitches. This year alone I have probably got maybe 50, and I did that in the first, like from January to the beginning of May. So that was, I basically did a year's worth of stitching, which for me was like nose to the grind. And I think I burnt myself out on it. And then between that and all the vertigo that I was having, and all the, stress that comes with being sick and not being able to do anything about it, and I just, at some point it stopped me being sick, and then me making myself sick because I was stressing about it so much. And so my mental health was is just not in a great place. So I'm focusing on that and trying to like find my enjoyment in some of my hobbies again, which means that I'm trying to not do one thing completely and focusing just on that, but kind of like what Crafty Gaming Jamie is doing is kind of like making sure I'm like covering all my hobbies to get more enjoyment out of it. So I think I'll probably try and get a video up next month. Sorry, you guys can't hear, but my husky's on the floor of my feet, and he just farted like 3 times, and they're horrible, like really bad. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna kind of do that going forward, and try and just like level myself out. So if you don't hear from me, don't worry. I'll come back when I have some actual progress to show you guys. But if you made it this long in the video, thank you. I do really appreciate everyone who watches, and honestly, it's just been, every time I see a comment, it's just like definitely like a happy lifting feeling. So I'll be back soon, and until then, I hope that everyone enjoys doing what you enjoy, crafting, reading, watching Flosstube, and I just hope everyone stays happy. So bye.